My name is Catherine, and I'm going to teach you how to do some real Cajun cooking. And today we're going to make a roux. So, first thing I do is cut an onion, because I'm going to need the onion at the end of the roux stirring process, and I want to have it all ready to go. I don't want to have to stop and try to do it or holler for somebody to come in and cut up an onion for me. So before I begin, I just get a medium onion and cut it up. So what I'm doing now is just taking off the top peeling. I'm going to rinse it. Go to my cutting board. And I love sharp knives. One thing you need in the kitchen is sharp knives, not to cut yourself. Okay, now we'll put this in a bowl. It's going to be waiting for us when we're done with the roux, at the color that we like the roux. Alright, the next thing I want to talk about is the pot. I love my black pot. This is an old black pot. It's great for making roux, it's great for making jambalaya. It's great for making stew, or cooking a gravy, or a sauce piquante, or sausage and gravy. I mean, I could not cook without this pot. Also, the spoon. This is my stirring spoon for roux. It has a flat side and a flat end, and it's great for scraping because there's a lot of scraping going on when you make a roux. Now, the proportions that I use is 1 part flour to 1/2 part oil. And I mix the oils because I don't like an overpowering olive oil taste. And canola oil is fine. You know, you don't have to get the most expensive oil. Okay? So I'm measuring out a batch of roux, which would be 1 1/2 cup. It's about 1.5 cups to 3/4 of a cup of oil. So 1.5 cup flour, and I kind of do it half and half here, about half and half. Just an eyeball measurement. You know, one thing you're going to learn when I'm teaching you is that you're going to put your signature on all of these dishes. It's a measuring by the eye, as the old people would say it in Cajun French. C'est mesure à l'œil. So it's a measurement by the eye. It's not a cookbook. It's not a measuring everything a certain amount, but you get a feel to it and how you're going to do it, and you'll take it and you'll make it your own. So the next thing I do is I turn the fire on my black pot. Now I'm turning it on. Okay, now my pot is heating up. It's pretty hot. I'm going to add the oil, 3/4 of a cup, and the flour. And you can tell, look, see how it's hot? You see the little kind of bit of a bubble going right there. So I'm going to add the 1.5 cup of flour. Now you may have to add more oil. See, it's not quite as fluid as I want it to be, so I'm going to add a little bit of oil, a little bit of olive oil, just a little, a couple of tablespoons maybe. I want it to be easy to stir, a little bit fluid. Okay. And that's your stirring motion. Around and around the bottom. Around the side, around the bottom, around the side. You're going to get a hang of it once you do it a few times. Now, for an unexperienced or inexperienced roux maker, you might want to keep your temp down to, say, 7 on your electric stove. It's 158, and so we're going to see how long it takes to make this roux. Now, one thing that I want to say is that many of the recipes talk about proportions like a 1-to-1, 1 cup of roux to 1 cup of oil. I find that's a lot of oil, and I didn't like it that way. I made it that way for years, and I just didn't like it. So I cut it back until I got it where I like it. Because I'm going to add onion to this roux, and so it's going to absorb whatever is in the roux, and I don't want it to be full of oil. And that's one of the reasons. And then I didn't want to waste all that oil, because I thought I could do it with less oil. So we're going to see how long this takes to make. Okay, it's been 4 minutes of stirring. As you can see, we're still going the same motions around the bottom, around the side. And I'm cooking it a little slower than I would normally cook it, but I've been making roux for, I don't know, 40 years. So I could cook it a little faster. But I've lowered it to a number 7 for a young person who has never made a roux. I would say 7 would be the highest to put it on. Now, if you're still a little bit afraid that you might burn it, because you don't want to burn it, then go down to 6 or go down to 5. It'll just take a little bit longer to make, but not that much longer, and it'll be safer. You might not splash on yourself and not burn the roux, because if the roux is burned, you cannot use it. You'll have to throw it out and start over again. You don't want to do that. So, this is a peanut butter color, and if you wanted a really light gumbo, you could stop right here, but this to me is way too light for a gumbo or a stew. But you could use it as a base for sauce, and maybe a sauce piquant, and it would be really good. Maybe some other dish that you could think of might be good. So this is a roux dance, back and forth. Oh, it's getting close. At this point, if you're a little nervous about it being a little high, you could turn it down, say this, the next notch. I'm going to go down to 6. Because even though I've been stirring a long time, I don't want to burn it. Because I don't want to start over either. And making roux is not for sissies. If you're not strong, you're going to be strong once you're done. Oh, it's getting close. See how it's smoking quite a bit here? A lot of smoke. It's really, really hot. Don't want to splash it on yourself. Almost time to turn it off. And see, it'll continue to cook even though you turn the heat off. So at this point, you can see how dark it is. You can turn it off. And this has been for 7 minutes, 8 minutes maybe. I'm going to leave it on the stove right now, and I'm going to go ahead and add my onion, because I'm going to have not only the heat of the pot that's going to help continue cooking, but the burner heat also, which is something to consider on an electric stove, that burner will continue to be warm for a while. And so what's happening now is the roux, the heat in the roux is cooking the onions. And it's going to flavor up this roux. It won't be just a dull flour oil taste, but it's going to have the flavor of this onion. Now you could, if you really wanted to, you could add bell pepper, celery, maybe garlic, but not necessarily so because that could just get bitter. But you could add the other ingredients too if you'd like to. And that'll give it even more flavor. So, you know, experiment with it. I just use onion because I like my other ingredients when I make the gumbo because I just like the freshness of it. But this is going to flavor up the roux and just make it really, really delicious. It caramelizes that onion, and when it's finished cooking, it's just every little piece is clear through and through. And so that's how you make a roux. Next thing we'll tackle is we'll go to the store. We're going to get a chicken. We're going to come home and clean up that chicken, give it a good bath, pick up some sausage, and we're going to make a yummy gumbo. So let's take a good look at this roux here and how it's coming along. And this is how it's going to look when it's done cooking up. And you can see how the onion is, you can see clear through it. Now if you don't use all of this, which you probably have plenty for a big gumbo or a big stew, or maybe two gumbos and two stews, but if you have too much and you don't need it all, put it in the refrigerator. It'll keep for weeks. Make a big roux and give some to a friend or to an older person who can't stand for a long time and make a roux. Make a roux and share. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed yourself.